The Central Bank of Brazil in Fortaleza was robbed in what became the largest bank heist in Brazilian history. But how did these criminals manage to dig a tunnel all the way to the bank's vault without anyone noticing? And how much money did they actually steal? The crime took place over the weekend of August 6th to 7th, 2005, and it wasn't discovered until the next Monday, August 8th. What made this robbery possible was an internal bank employee who leaked information about the bank's security system to the criminals. With this tip, the gang could easily know where to start digging and what obstacles they would face. Planning for this elaborate heist began around May 2005, 3 months before the robbery. The group first needed somewhere to operate from, so they rented house number 1071 on Rua 25 de Março in downtown Fortaleza. The address was chosen because it was just 1 block away from the central bank. The gang registered the house in the name of a fake company called Comércio e da Relva, artificial, which in Portuguese means trade and industry of artificial grass. This front company allowed them to easily explain why so many cars loaded with dirt were leaving the property every day. The criminals used the blueprints of the bank building, one of which was provided by their inside man. They then started to excavate an 80-meter tunnel underneath one of the busiest avenues in the capital. The tunnel went from the rented house to the bank's vault, allowing the criminals to access the building unnoticed. It should be noted that at no time did the robbers use violence or threaten anyone directly. All they did was dig a hole underneath the bank and take the money. But how did they pull off such a complicated operation? Let's find out. When the robbers arrived at the site, they found an underground sewage channel just 5 meters from the bank. This made it easier for them to reach the financial institution's backyard. Then they started tunneling from there, using pickaxes and explosives. The gang worked in shifts, both day and night, to avoid anyone noticing what was going on. They also built ventilation shafts and installed electric motors to remove dirt and bring in fresh air. Additionally, they drilled several holes along the tunnel for better communication and agility. Once the tunnel was complete, the group moved to the bank's vault through a hatchway. There they stole 1,648 million reals, equivalent to 467,000 kilograms of 50 real bills. The money weighed 3.5 tons in total, but the robbers left 10 bags of money in the tunnel and took the rest. According to investigations, they abandoned the money because they couldn't carry it all. Later, the police discovered that the gang hid part of the loot in a pre-dug hole filled with quicklime, which reacted with water, producing heat and humidity that quickly destroyed the bills. The robbers intended to come back for this money later, but they never had the chance. To carry out this audacious heist, the gang needed transportation. For this purpose, they used 5 vans parked in the neighboring buildings to transport the money to a house in the Praia de Iracema neighborhood. From there, they planned to move the loot to a farm in the municipality of Paquetuba. However, the police found the vans abandoned on the streets near the bank, and soon discovered the connection between the vehicles and the crime. Antonio Josivan Elvas dos Santos, nicknamed Alemão or German, was identified as the mastermind behind the operation. According to reports, he was the one who sold the idea of the plan to his friends, promising them a lot of money. Interestingly, he didn't participate directly in the execution of the robbery. Alemo assembled a team of about 36 people in the original core of the gang. However, to carry out the robbery, they needed more hands, so they recruited more people for specific tasks like driving, guarding, and even buying supplies. At its peak, the gang had around 100 defendants who shared the profits according to their level of involvement. In addition to the direct robbers, there were also the so-called frontmen who kept watch over the operation and acted as lookouts. Among them was former bank employee Edmar Santos de Oliveira, who tipped off the gang about the bank's security system. The action involved several accomplices, interceptors, and other collaborators who received sums of up to 20,000 reals each. In total, there were 28 criminal cases and 129 people were charged in the federal court. Even with such a large number of defendants, the trial lasted only 18 months and the first convictions were in October 2007. Several gang members received sentences ranging from 22 to 30 years in prison for the crimes of bank robbery and criminal organization. After the robbery, the federal police estimated that of the 165 million reals stolen, only 60 million were recovered. However, up to a certain point in the investigation, the authorities reported recovering 45 million in cash, movable and immovable assets. To understand how much this amount represents today, we need to consider the inflation rate, using the National Consumer Price Index, INPC, as a basis, which is the index used by the Brazilian government to adjust values in contracts, fines, and social benefits. Among other things, we can calculate the current value of the stolen money. As of November 2023, the stolen amount adjusted by INPC reaches the figure of 442 million reals. Now let's talk about some of the key figures involved in this intricate plot. Marcos Rogério Machado de Moraes, known as Cabeção or Big Head, was the engineer responsible for designing and supervising the tunnel construction. He managed to evade the police for 12 long years until he was finally arrested in August 2023 in Sorocaba, SP. When questioned by the police, he admitted to participating in the crime but denied being the mastermind behind it all. He claimed to have been hired to build the tunnel and said that everything was orchestrated by another individual named Fernando, who is still at large. Another prominent member of the gang was Attila Delas, one of the most wanted criminals in the country. He was captured in August 2025 in Rio de Janeiro while trying to flee to Africa with his wife and children. During the investigation, Attila revealed that the mastermind of the robbery was Walmer de Souza, alias Walmor da Guia e Walmor de Pilot. According to Attila, Walmer came up with the idea of the robbery and provided the necessary resources for its execution. Walmer, however, has never been arrested and remains on the run. Attila also stated that the money was stored in a house in the neighborhood of Pitbull in Natal and was later transferred to the farm in Paquetuba. When questioned, the detainee also claimed that it was his idea to use part of the stolen money to buy airplanes, which explains the nickname Walmer, the pilot. But it wasn't just the direct perpetrators who faced justice. Former bank employee Edmar Oliveira, who provided the blueprints of the bank to the gang, was also sentenced to 19 years in prison for bank robbery and criminal organization. Even nearly 20 years after the crime, the case continues to generate arrests and police operations. In 2024, the São Paulo Civil Police carried out operations in the neighborhoods of Santo Amaro and Muca, targeting people linked to the original crime who were involved in new criminal activities. One of those arrested was Manuel Messias de Souza, a bricklayer who participated in the construction of the tunnel and was released in 2010. And in April of the same year, another gang member, Wagner Costa Silva, was arrested in a motel in Sobrel. According to the police, Wagner was carrying a gun and several cell phones. When he was apprehended, the Central Bank of Fortaleza heist remains etched in the annals of Brazilian criminality, not only for the staggering amount stolen, but also for the technical sophistication demonstrated in executing the plan. The audacity of the crime shocked the nation and reverberated internationally, inspiring documentaries, films, and series. Netflix took up the story, producing the documentary series 3, Assalto ao Banco Central, which delves into the details of the audacious heist. If you liked this video, check out our video on the Norberto Ramos Nishi case, the mastermind behind the largest bank robbery in the world. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.